Hello everyone, my name is Joseph Adamski, and today I'll be presenting on special education services. This presentation is part of my coursework for EDU 574 with Dr. Catherine Heller, and it's a topic I care deeply about, ensuring all children have the opportunity to succeed in school, regardless of ability. Here's a brief overview of what we'll be covering today. Our learning targets, the introduction to special education services, family rights in Pennsylvania, IEPs and 504s, a comparison between IEPs and 504s, available services, and keys to student success. By the end of this presentation, you'll be able to explain the basics of special education services, understand and define key legal terms, distinguish between IEPs and 504 plans, identify available services for children, and recognize how these supports lead to student success. First, let's introduce what special education services are. Special education services support students with disabilities. They are made possible through the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA. Under IDEA, students may receive an IEP or a 504 plan, as well as accommodations, related services, and placement in the least restrictive environment, or LRE. In Pennsylvania, families are entitled to protections including screenings and evaluations, independent educational evaluations, access to IEPs or 504 plans and their related services, a free and appropriate public education, and placement in the least restrictive environment. These rights ensure students receive the support they need to learn and thrive. Now, let's talk about Individualized Education Programs, or IEPs. In their text, Education Law, John Dayton describes IEPs as the basic plan for providing special education and related services under the IDEA. An IEP is a legal document tailored to a student's educational needs. It outlines goals, accommodations, and services and is protected under the IDEA. The IEP must be agreed upon by both the school team and the student's family. And as John Dayton once said, every person has a fundamental right to have an opportunity to participate in and contribute to society, and education is a key part of that right. Now let's discuss Section 504 plans. As recipients of federal funds, public schools must comply with the mandates of Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. Section 504 protections may also apply to private schools and other institutions if they receive federal funds. A 504 plan outlines accommodations or modifications to help students access education. While it may not include specialized instruction, it still plays a crucial role in educational access because they stipulate specific accommodations or modifications to best provide the student with a least restrictive environment. Let's discuss IEPs and 504s and what the big difference is between them. John Dayton also cites that although the IDEA and Section 504 are both intended to protect persons with disabilities, these are separate and distinct acts covering different populations. As you can see on the left side of the screen, there's a list of qualifying disabilities that would require a IEP. IEPs serve students with specific disabilities under the IDEA, such as autism or hearing impairments. However, if a student does not necessarily qualify for special education services under the IDEA, they still may qualify for services under Section 504 if the disability is shown to substantially limit his or her educational performance. Specifically, 504 plans help students with other impairments like ADHD or disabilities that affect learning but don't quite meet IDEA's criteria. Both an IEP and a Section 504 plan support students in achieving access to the least restrictive environment. Now you might be wondering, what services are available for my child or student? To qualify for IDEA services, a student must have a recognized disability and require special education. See the list of disabilities on the previous slide. John Dayton even goes on to say that there is a two-part test that will determine whether the child has an eligible disability and whether the child needs special education-related services because of that disability. If the student doesn't qualify under the IDEA, they may still be eligible for a 504 plan. This ensures support is available to a broader group of students based on their specific needs. Now let's discuss the elements of your child's success. If your child qualifies for special education services, they may receive an IEP or Section 504 plan. There's also an option, possibly, for Extended Year Services, or EYS. In his text, Education Law, John Dayton states that if the IDEA-eligible child would experience a significant regression in the absence of EYS services, and sufficient educational recoupment would not occur in a reasonable time when regular year services were resumed, that child may qualify for extended year services. Also, a private school placement may be necessary if both the public school cannot meet the needs of the child and if the parents and school officials agree that this placement is necessary. The key thing to note is that this placement must be paid for by the public school to provide the child with a free and appropriate public education, or FAPE. With this in mind, the goal is always to ensure free and appropriate public education in the most effective setting, whether it be in the regular education classroom, in a separate classroom, or in a private school setting if deemed necessary. Here are some of the main takeaways from this presentation. The IDEA provides structure and protection for students with disabilities through IEPs and Section 504 plans. Families have protected rights to evaluations if they suspect that their child has a qualifying disability, and a right to a reevaluation if they disagree with the results. IEPs and 504 plans are different, but they both ensure access to education. Supports are personalized, and services may include accommodations, specialized instruction, or private placement. Again, the ultimate goal is educational equality and student success. Finally, these are my references that I have included in this presentation. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.